My guest today is Sid Gandhi. Sid is the CEO and founder at Polybase Labs, building a number of different products, including Payy. I think that's how you say it. I'm sure we'll learn all about it today. Welcome to the show, Sid.
Happy to be here.
Happy to have you here, Sid. Let's do what we do at the beginning of the show. It'd be cool if you could please introduce yourself. Love to hear a little bit about your personal and professional backstory, what you've been doing in the lead up to founding Polybase Labs.
Sounds good. I've had a background in software engineering for many years, worked through that into product management and eventually to founding Polybase Labs. And so I really started off my career building apps, building consumer applications as well as business applications. Found myself as an iOS developer at Apple for a few years. And one story I like to tell from there is that I was a tech lead for Hey Siri, Get Me an Uber. And so when you say that, it's the APIs that I wrote with my team, and we shipped that with iOS 10, I believe. Went on from there, worked at a couple different companies, and right before starting Polybase Labs, I was a lead product manager at Cruise, autonomous vehicle company in San Francisco. They've been in the news lately. I think they've had some accidents, unfortunately. I was working on the infrastructure side there, building, again, developer tools and APIs for developers at Cruise. Um, and so that's kind of my history. I'm pretty sure we'll get into why I started Polybase Labs. I won't steal that just yet.
Well, funny you should say that, Sid. I guess the next question would be, why did you start Polybase Labs? Why don't we just do that right off the jump and just give us an idea of what Polybase Labs is, problems you're trying to solve, the vision, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So what we're trying to do at Polybase Labs is build blockchain infrastructure that actually gives value to people in their everyday lives. And so we truly believe that there's just a few things left in the crypto infrastructure space that need to be solved until we have this pervasive alternative financial system that like everyone can use and get benefit from. And to be clear, I don't personally think that's happened yet. And so those three things are cost, scalability, and privacy. In the last couple of years, cost and scalability have gone down tremendously in the crypto space with scaling solutions, better L1s, faster L2s. We actually built a decentralized database in 2022, which was a way to store large amounts of data that you wanted to store in a decentralized way in a database, but store that off chain. And so if you know about IPFS, or Arweave, those are ways to store files. We were doing the same kind of thing, but for databases. So we built that. We actually got around 3 or 4 thousand developers building on us, building Web3 applications across gaming, DeFi, as well as NFT platforms that wanted to put metadata on chain, but it was too costly, and so we enabled that. So we solved performance, we solved scaling. Last year, the next kind of challenge for us was privacy, because when we looked around, we saw, I actually went back to read the Bitcoin white paper. This is where it started last year. It was like bear market. I went back. I think the last time I read the white paper was 10 years ago, maybe more than that. And I went back to read it to kind of ground myself again. Why are we here? What are we doing? And the thing I discovered was that Bitcoin was really built to be a payments network, right? The title of the white paper is a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Turns out Bitcoin was pretty bad at being a payments network, pretty good at being an alternative store of value, and a place to do speculation, of course. But that kind of got this bug in my head of like, why have we not actually built a payments network that actually works in crypto? I think it's been 15 years since Bitcoin was launched. We've had a billion different L1s and L2s and L3s and L4s now. But why do we still use credit cards when we go and pay at ETH Denver food trucks? I actually posted this tweet of this guy paying with a credit card at ETH Denver, and I was like, what are we doing? How have we messed up so badly in the last 15 years as an industry? And so that's where it all starts for us when it comes to Pay. And so we started building Pay last year based on all of the knowledge that we had in the zero knowledge cryptography space that we built up over 2 years. And what Pay is a purely a payments network built as a ZK rollup layer 2. And it does just one thing, which is USDC transactions. But there's four really interesting things that it does that no one else does today. First, it's fully private. Second, it is fast, free, and easy, so less than 10 seconds per transaction. There's no gas fees, and there's no addresses or keys or tokens to manage. We've also integrated fiat ramps directly into the application layer of the blockchain, and it's decentralized and compliant. And we have something called ZK compliance that we use to create compliance in a privacy shielded world. And so bringing those four things together, we've actually created the first usable payments network in crypto that like you could send to someone in a different country. All they need to do is download an app and you can send them money. So this is the first time I believe in humanity we've been able to send money instantly for free anywhere in the world. That kind of system just doesn't exist today.
Yeah, yeah, very, very well said, and that's fascinating. And like, just to kind of bring it back to some of your history, I love this idea, Sid, that you've kind of been as a technologist or working through some of these other companies like Apple, on the ground working with Siri, and then working with, I guess, like self-driving cars. And now here we are, back kind of, I guess, reinventing, kind of like PayPal or indeed Bitcoin, trying to solve payments, which I mean, that's, you've kind of described it correctly, and that it is kind of strange that here we are 15 years into the game or whatever, and still, the beginnings of crypto, which as you rightly pointed out, Satoshi first described Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer payment protocol, really. Still working on that, because it turns out at scale that is potentially harder than it looks. But of course, that is what you're trying to solve with Pay. And am I right in kind of framing that? And that you mentioned credit cards, but are you kind of competing with credit cards, PayPal, crypto, everything? You just want to be payments, full stop?
That's the vision. We are starting with peer-to-peer payments. So if you think about Venmo or Cash App, there's other versions of this in every country around the world. That's what we're focused on right now. Today, every country kind of has its own domestic payments method, right? So in the US, everyone pretty much uses Venmo to pay their friends for dinner or a cab or whatever. Um, there is no global version of that today. There is no fast, free version of payments that works globally. And so that's what we've built. And the really cool thing is Pay Network is in mainnet, and you can use it today. We're in the beta app store, the test flight app store for iPhone. And so you can go to pay.link, Payy.link, and download that. And this is probably the first time that you're going to be, generating a zero knowledge proof. I think we've heard so much about that technology, but like, when have you actually used it to benefit yourself in your daily life? You're going to be using that. And the second cool thing is those zero knowledge proofs are generated on the device. So this is definitely the first time that anyone using Pay has actually generated a ZK proof on device. In fact, there is no other project that does this in production or in mainnet, in the usable way that we do it. So that's really exciting for people as well. And I think it kind of goes back, like you kind of talked about my history as well. What I really care about is like, yeah, tech is really great. Having all these blockchains is really great. Having all these tokens and mechanisms and DeFi is really great. But how does it actually improve and affect people's lives in a day-to-day basis? And if you take speculation out of the picture, the answer is like pretty much nothing. I think stable coins have added a lot to that and have actually impacted people's lives really positively, but they still have to, to buy stable coins, you still have to go through kind of process of getting an exchange and buying tokens and making sure you're on the right chain when you send those stable coins to people, making sure you have like the tokens required for gas on those chains. So we haven't really fully delivered that to the regular person.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Talk us through then, just I guess, so the yeah, just the user journey or the user experience and what makes Pay different, because it's a little bit different from some of the application, like Venmo or PayPal applications like that. It's obviously, you
Yeah.
talked about yeah, the zero knowledge component, which is, I guess, interesting to crypto people, but the average person who you're hoping to reach with Pay, they're not going to worry too much about the tech stuff under the hood. But look, I guess
Yeah.
this is your opportunity to tell us about some of the tech stuff under the hood, but also just why, at the same time, I'm sure you're trying to make Pay as simple, seamless, and elegant as possible, because that's the only way you can ever really achieve adoption of these kind of products, right?
Yeah, agreed. So I'll kind of tackle like the usability of it, and then I'll kind of delve a little bit deeper into what makes the tech work. So I'll just point out again, and I think this is worth reiterating, there is no current way to send someone USDC privately. So any USDC that you've ever sent to someone is public. That transaction is public. Who sent it, who received it, and the amount forever. Like forever, forever. As long as computers are working and the blockchain's up. That is pretty frightening if you think about it from a payments perspective. You walk out of a coffee shop. This is a classic example, right? The guy with the wrench waiting outside the coffee shop because he saw you paid for coffee, linked the location, and now knows your net worth because all your transactions are public. And you know what's funny? People think having pseudonymity, people think having multiple addresses, those things are protecting their privacy online. It's not true. I've seen the tech that people are using now, organizations, governments, that are doing blockchain analysis. These are platforms you can use today, like Arkham Intelligence, Chainalysis, TRM Labs. They're really, really sophisticated. Even if you have multiple addresses, if you ever, for example, deposit from two addresses into the same Coinbase or Binance off-ramp address, you can tie those addresses together. If you accidentally pasted it on Twitter one time because you wanted to unlock a whitelist, that's captured and archived and stored. And so I think crypto is going to have kind of a Cambridge Analytica moment very, very soon. If you remember that, that was when Facebook got, there's a whistleblower that showed how Facebook was capturing all this user data and using it for all these different purposes. And that kicked off the whole kind of privacy concern with consumer, eventually leading to GDPR and other laws, that are today, causing billions and billions of dollars of fines for these companies that are not respecting privacy. And so I think, if you're using crypto for payments, privacy is not just like, hey, like I want my stuff to be private. I'm a private person, or like I really care about privacy. No, it's table stakes. Your credit card isn't public. You don't want that to be public. Your bank account isn't public. Your net worth isn't public. That causes too many issues in today's society. So that's table stakes, and I think it's laughable that there are people trying to build payment apps that are built on these fully public networks, right? I think it's a really good thing to do to try to improve UX in the space, but if you're building it fundamentally on public network, on a fully visible blockchain, it's kind of silly, to be honest. And so delving kind of deeper, what we've done with Pay is we've built two completely different things that work really well together. The first is Pay Network, and the second is Pay Wallet. And so Pay Network is a layer 2 blockchain built as a ZK rollup that enables private transactions. We roll up to EVM chains. And so it's a fully public network. Anyone can use it. But what we also did was we built Pay Wallet, which is kind of like MetaMask. It's a non-custodial wallet, except it only lets you do one thing, which is payments. And so it's really hyper-focused, and the UX is absolutely beautiful, absolutely seamless. Legitimately, you could send it to your grandma or your aunt or, a 12-year-old kid, and they can use it as easily as any other app that they might use. They don't have to learn anything additional. And you compared it to Venmo a little bit. Pay is actually easier to use than Venmo. And here's why. On Venmo, when you install the app, you have to go through probably 15 minutes of taking pictures and selfies and typing in your information to do KYC. Because Pay is a non-custodial wallet, like MetaMask, there is no KYC because there is no one else that controls your funds. You control your own funds. And like we've seen in court case after court case, non-custodial solutions, aren't required to have all these um, compliance methods built in because it's the user themselves. There's no third-party company that's storing your funds and doing things with it. So Pay as a company, we don't touch any of your money. We can't touch it. We can't move it. We can't do anything with it. It's fully non-custodial and decentralized, the same way that USDC on Ethereum is decentralized, and no one's actually controlling that on Ethereum. So we've been able to take really deep tech for privacy, really simple UX, and bridge it into this amazing app that if you download it today and you use it, you'll be confused because you'll be like, where are all the screens to click through? Where's all like the cruft? Where's all like the tokens? It's totally abstracted away.
Yeah, yeah. Fascinating. And just to, touch on that privacy point, why do you think, Sid, you've just reread the Bitcoin white paper. Why do you think the Satoshi team they did they not just think through the privacy implications of a pseudonymous payment system? They completely knew it was pseudonymous. They completely knew that people would be able to eventually, well, they wouldn't know exactly the rise of organizations like Chainalysis, but if you think it through, it's kind of logical. And, obviously it's a very smart team behind that white paper and very au fait, if you like, with the kind of libertarian principles of privacy and the importance of privacy on the internet, whether it's for kind of cypherpunk reasons or money. All of that stuff. They were very aware of those issues.
Yeah, they were totally aware. They knew the challenges around it. There was even early on in the history, attempts to tie people to their addresses and things like that. And so that was totally known. The problem was the technology to solve that simply didn't exist. That technology actually technically existed since the 80s. It's called zero knowledge cryptography. I talked about it a little earlier, but it was more academic and no one had actually implemented it in a way that was actually usable, computationally feasible, if you will. The chips were too slow, the methods were too slow. That actually changed pretty early on in history. So I think just a handful of years after Bitcoin was released, we had two networks that brought privacy to crypto. So there were Zcash and Monero. Those are two of the popular ones. There was a bunch of other smaller ones that didn't really, gain that much adoption. But so Zcash was actually a fully end-to-end private version of Bitcoin. Now, why was it not a usable payments network? Well, it was missing the other three parts. It was missing stability. So you had to pay in a currency called ZEC. No one uses that. It was really hard to use. So even today, if you try to go use Zcash, it's still running. It's extremely difficult. The wallets are really hard to use. It's very like you have to really know what's going on and almost be like an engineer to use Zcash. And then the fiat on and off ramping was terrible. It was really hard to use. Like, how do you get your dollars or your pounds or whatever into Zcash? And actually, recently we've seen that a lot of exchanges have actually delisted Zcash because of its absolute kind of like privacy concerns around that. And so, yes, people have been aware of this problem for a very long time. Technology didn't exist. Some people tried to integrate that kind of technology, but it was still missing a lot of attributes of what a real payments network actually needs.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And that's very well explained. Thank you, Sid. And of course, famously, Zcash, harder to find on exchanges. One of the probably worst performing altcoins of the last 4 years. And kind of the same with XMR, Monero, really. It's just a little bit. While the privacy ethos makes perfect sense and is needed, it's just one of those things that is going to attract attentions from the authorities as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's great that there are teams such as yourself working on this problem from another angle. One of the things that you have talked about, Sid, in terms of trying to kind of scale this out to people, is this idea of a reward system. I think I've seen you call it ZK points. I'm not sure if you still, or pay rewards. How we kind of framing this, and what is the
Yeah.
idea here?
Yeah, so the system is called Pay Rewards. It's available in the Pay app. It's separate from the Pay network. So Pay Rewards is not tracked on the blockchain. It's kind of a separate system. It's opt-in. So if you don't want that in your payments experience, you don't need it. But let me ask you this: when did you last switch a credit card that didn't have to do with the points that you were going to get on that credit card? Right? Today, imagine a credit card without points or cashback, no one would use it. And so we're kind of in that place with peer-to-peer payments, right? We have cross-border payment apps, we have Venmo, we have ability to pay people that A, they're either expensive, slow, or both, mostly both, and B, they don't have any reward system on top, and people love rewards. Um, and so that's what we're building with Pay Rewards is a point system. So every person that you invite to pay, you get 1,000 points. Every dollar that you deposit into your Pay wallet, you get 1 point every 24 hours. And the reason is those are the two really important things that contribute to the growth of the Pay network. And we want to bring the community in to um, to be a part of that growth and to benefit from that growth. And so the more people using Pay, the better, because there's more people for you to pay, and that can pay you. And the more money that's on the Pay network, the more easy it is to pay people because you don't have to move money back and forth from banks as well. And so those are the two kind of metrics, if you will. And we've built this rewards program to directly reward people with points to those metrics. Now, the question is, what do I get with points? And so I think what we did was we, again, applied a slightly different thinking towards this. Of course, you accumulate points, and that's your contribution towards the community is tracked that way. And there will be some future benefit of that. I can't talk too much about that. Now, what I can talk about, though, is we have monthly giveaways. This is kind of the newer thing, which is we want to reward people on the way through this journey of being a part of our community. So, for example, in the month of April, we have $1,000 that we're giving away. And the way you win that is through accumulating more points. So, more points equals a higher chance of winning the giveaway. And so if you invite people, you deposit funds, you're in the app, you're claiming those points, you can have a higher chance of winning. And at the end of the month, we'll announce the winner in the app, and they'll be able to actually uh, access that reward in the app and claim that into their wallet. It's that simple, really easy to use. But the cool tech I'll talk about a little bit behind the scenes here. You mentioned ZK points. So we're doing the whole point system in a privacy preserving way. So we're not tracking your transactions. We're not tracking, how much you're sending and how much you're depositing. That all exists on your own device itself. And the device generates in the app a ZK proof that proves that you deserve those points. That's sent to our servers, validated, and then those points are deposited into your account. Again, the first time that this has ever been done, points and rewards in a privacy preserving way.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, look, as we start to finish off this part of the podcast, then Sid, give us a sense of where you are kind of on the Pay journey. So you talked about, being, I guess, at mainnet, the Pay wallet is available. People can start using this now. But of course, if you're going to scale to compete with the likes of Venmo and so on, you'll be just at the beginning of this journey. So yeah, just kind of put that in context and also tell explain for people that are listening and want to learn more and look at potentially using Pay, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, awesome. Where we are right now is still early, but I think we're not very far from where that scale, that Venmo level scale is. And here's why. We launched Pay at ETH Denver this year. So that was February 29th, in mainnet. And so you can use real money, make real payments, and right now, Pay is the only way to send USDC privately, uh, period. In any kind of usable way. There's all these weird like Tornado Cash type things, but you're not going to use those. Um, and so that's there. The second thing is the Pay wallet is currently in beta. That's coming out of beta in a couple months. That's going to be in the App Store and it's going to be available on Android as well. When we hit that, there will be no other payments platform that can do instant, free global payments and do them privately. That I think is going to be a killer value proposition and killer use case for basically everyone in the world because we all make payments. And so I don't think we're actually that far from that level of adoption, that level of usage. It's really purely just a marketing thing for us. So as soon as we're in the App Store, it's just we just spend the money and let as many people know as possible what we're doing. And the cool thing is because of rewards, we actually have a virality loop built into the app. So every person that we bring on brings on X more people through those referrals and through payments. And so we think and that's why we're super excited. This is a really fun moment to be building. I've built many, many products in the past. And, when you're on the cusp of this kind of enablement of something that wasn't possible before, that's really exciting. And so if you want to get in on the journey, you can go to payy.link. Our Twitter's on there. You can download the app if you have an iPhone. And Android's coming very soon as well. And yeah, you can join our Telegram as well. And a lot of people in there asking questions and we post updates and stuff in there. So really excited for everyone to join on this journey. I think it's something that pretty much everyone in the world can benefit from. And we really do care about bringing that benefit of crypto that we've been talking about for 15 years to people in their hands, usable today.
Awesome. So well said. Thank you, Sid. I think what we do now is we go to a very quick break and then we'll come back. We'll finish off. We'll have some fun. We'll run Sid through the very famous crypto conversation hot take round. Back in 1 second. And boom, we are back. And I'm with Sid Gandhi. Sid, of course, is CEO and founder at Polybase Labs, building Payy. Yeah, simple, easy, private payments. Simple as that. So yeah, fascinating. Course link to Payy is in the show notes, but payy.link. Sid, I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Let's go.
Let's go, Sid. Just going to run some questions at you. Just want kind of quick hot take style answers. No right or wrong way to do it. Question 1 for you. Where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
I'm straight smack dab in the middle. Again, I've been in this space since 2012. I've seen plenty of narratives and stuff kind of come through. So I want the best tool that gives people value to succeed, to be honest.
Yeah. Hey, look, very pragmatic answer. Makes sense. What would you say then, Sid, is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
Firmest conviction crypto opinion. I think I've said it before, which is crypto is not going to work mainstream if it's not private.
Nice, nice. Topical. I like it. Okay, look, so Bill Gates famously said we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. You've worked at Apple, you've been around, that kind of thinking. But so if we cast our mind forward 10 years in blockchain, as you know, it's a long time. Anything you want here, crypto, Bitcoin, Web3, or indeed Payy and payments, what does it look like in 10 years' time?
Yeah, I think it looks like everyone controlling their own resources, controlling their own path, controlling their own lives, basically. And I think today we've lost that control in so many different ways. You can't even turn off your account on Facebook, right? You can't delete the things that you've created in the past. It's so difficult. Think about banks. Banks fail, your money can go away. Yeah, you have some protections from the government, but not all countries have stuff like that. And so I really feel like we've built all this tech, all this institutions in the last, thousands of years of humanity. But it's time to kind of take that power back. And it's actually when you use crypto, you feel that power of being in control of your money, in control of what you're doing and how you do it. And that to me is kind of this motivating pathway.
Yes, indeed. I like it a lot. All right, Sid. Another way of thinking about this is a quote by William Gibson, who, of course, said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. With that in
Mm.
mind, Sid, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
Yeah, it's a funny one. Um, Something we think about the future. Uh, I think like I'll say teleportation. And the reason why I said obviously we don't have actual teleportation, but man, like yeah, when you're in VR or you're doing even like a FaceTime on a 2D screen, it's actually quite easy to forget your surroundings, right? Have you ever done that where you're like watching something, you're talking to someone and on a call, and then you just don't notice anything? That's
Yeah.
basically being teleported,
Mm.
right? And I think the fidelity of these tools is so high that, and they're getting better with obviously Apple Vision Pro and stuff like that. Yeah, I think we have teleportation already.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point, and yeah, you're exactly right. It's kind of the physical boundaries between well, physical life, certainly digital life, are slowly melting
Yeah.
away. And yeah, I suppose it kind of brings us to our final question, really, Sid, which is what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
Love that question. I've a couple. Um, Foundation series, by Isaac Asimov, phenomenal. I know everyone's into Dune right now because of the movies, but Dune is really, really good, but Foundation is also really, really good. So if you like Dune, read Foundation. Um, there's also a, series of short novels by Ted Chiang. He is a science fiction author, and I forget the exact name of his short stories, but there's some really, really good ones that are really compelling, almost Black Mirror-esque, but way more detailed and interesting than that.
Very nice, fantastic picks there. Of course, yeah. I mean, you're exactly right. The June 2, the second film, was just incredible to see on the big screen. Just an incredible piece of cinema. Are you watching the Three Body Problem on Netflix?
Not yet, but, it's been pushing it in my feed, so I think I have to watch it at some point.
Yeah, I recommend that. It's a good one. Of course, famously based
Mm.
on the Chinese novel trilogy. But yeah, that's it's a good watch. Sid, look, hey, it's been fun hanging out with you today. Thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us and talking about Payy. Just to finish off, Sid, just tell people where they can find you on Twitter/X, and again, what they should do to look more into Payy.
Yeah, definitely. Forget about me. I just really want everyone to try Pay. So I'll mention again, payy.link. Download it, try it, and then you'll find me in the groups and on Twitter through that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sid. This was fun. All the best, and bye for now.
All right, take care.
All right, there you go. That was Sid from Payy. How good was that? Yeah, I mean, Sid was cool, very smart guy, very articulate, and he's right. No one's really solved the payments thing. So fantastic to see what him and his team are building. Payy looks really good. Yep, link is in the show notes to go and explore more. Hey, that's it really. We reached the end of another show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Do make sure you're subscribed to the Crypto Conversation in whatever podcast app you are using. But that is it for today. Bye for now.